coaching Justin Wong and playing, in a modern format with modern cards. And,
Oh my god, why aren't people showing my favorite Oshis, the game I like to play? Why aren't they showing things for me? Why is this content not made for me? Like, not everything is about you. The world doesn't center around you. It just comes down to something very simple. It wasn't made for you. So shut the up. Like,
don't look online for anything. Just buy a speed duel box, grab a few friends who, also don't know anything, play it, then pack it back up, and you can do it again some other time, and that's it.
quick, don't look. Don't look at Twitter. Don't look online. Don't look at Twitch streams. Don't just turn off your internet. Unplug your router. Buy the actual products that exist out there that you think is a little weird, but just buy it anyway. You'll have a lot of fun. That's gonna be the best way to interact with Yu-Gi-Oh!
Right? It's rough to say it that way.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Has an audience problem. I don't know what he means by that. Yu-Gi-Oh! Definitely has a problem generating new players. The game is really hard to, learn and get into and be enthusiastic about learning because there are so many things to learn. Yu-Gi-Oh! Has a very competitive audience, and this is really facilitated and created by their own design, by their own game. The fact that Yu-Gi-Oh! Only has one real playable format officially that's been that way for 20 years definitely has a huge influence over the culture and, how players approach and think about the game. Yeah, let's take a look at what he has to say about the audience problem.
Hey guys, Paul here. So I know it's been a while since I've done one of these talking videos over an APS amplifier, but I've just been thinking a lot about Yu-Gi-Oh! And I wanted to share it with you guys, get some opinions. Fair warning, it's going to be not a rant, but maybe not like a completely positive video. There's going to be some critiques. And
there's going to be some bad feels in this, guys. There's going to be some bad feels in this video. You guys turn it off, turn off the stream, turn off the video if you get slightly offended as a Yu-Gi-Oh! Player, please.
I know some people don't like when I do that, so if you can't handle it, you can get out now. But if you can, then let's talk a little bit about Yu-Gi-Oh! And its sort of target audience and the misalignment that I think Konami has kind of run into in recent years. So we're going to just set the stage.
Target audience and misalignment. For me personally, I think Yu-Gi-Oh! Konami just prints what works and they stick with what works. And they're not really, as far as change and pushing products into different directions, sure, they had Speed Duel and they introduced other products to try and lighten the game up and make it a little more about fun and a little more about the anime. But they're not really successful, and I think it's just because of Yu-Gi-Oh's legacy and how long it's been, just purely competitive. I also think that it's because they don't like to pour money into marketing these type of products, and accessibility and diversity in game modes is not their priority. Their priority is obviously, they want to sell as many boxes as possible. It's a very short-sighted goal, I would say.
Stage a little bit here. We know Yu-Gi-Oh's been around for like a bazillion years, 20, 25 years. A lot of people got into this game as kids watching this show. But today the game is a lot more, it's more niche for sure. And it's also much more competitive.
100%.
There's a lot more information that goes around. And a lot of people who play the game today are playing it for the sake of competing in tournaments or Master Duel or whatever. And there's much more talk about, a meta game and what you're supposed to do. What are combo lines? What is counterplay? Hand traps, interactions, rulings. It's a lot more nitty gritty. And
I mean, I don't know if that's a symptom of necessarily nowadays. Attaining a certain level of competency in the game and, of interest, right? Going to locals, attending regionals and YCS, whatever, right? This is where the meta game kind of comes in, and you have to think about the game in different ways and think about other decks other than your own pet deck, right? I don't know if, but I mean, definitely as far as a recent symptom of Yu-Gi-Oh, it's a lot, quicker, right? This game, if you look at this game compared to back to 2014 or even Edison format Yu-Gi-Oh, it's completely different. It's very, very short. It's very, very fast. That is a more modern affliction.
And particularly online, in that corner, sort of online discourse, people are going to talk mostly about that. When you think of Yu-Gi-Oh, you think of people online discussing combos, where to hand trap something, how to stop things, what's the metagame like, what's the next ban list going to be. The reason I'm talking about this today is because they've recently started playing the Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel deck flexing series, at YCS event streams. So what deck flexing is
Okay.
it's the series that Alec and I actually got to be a part of. We were the commentators for it, but it's a 3-part series where every episode they got like Konami got different people from different communities to play in these themed Yu-Gi-Oh matches. So it might have been like
Actually, yeah, so if you guys don't know what deck flexing is, let's take a look at it really quick. Deck flexing, it's on the official Yu-Gi-Oh channel, which is, made for children. So apparently you're not able to comment on any of these videos. Wow, they only did 3 episodes? Oh, that sucks. Well, they only did 3 episodes. And so deck flexing, they brought in like guests as far as like internet celebrities go, people who are notable within their communities. In episode 1, they had Justin Wong and Vicious, huge fighting game people, VTubers as well, which was really cool, I thought. They had Rosemary Lovelock and Doppio Dropscythe. And then they had Dodo Doya and I'm not too familiar, but basically other huge YouTubers in the Yu-Gi-Oh scene. Yeah, I thought that was a really cool and interesting idea. I thought it showed that Konami was leveraging their indie content creators to try and make good content and make this game more approachable for new players. Unfortunately, I feel like deck flexing has a lot of problems in how heavily scripted it is, how much they emphasize on alternate game modes that just do not exist and you're not able to play. You kind of have to like handcraft these game modes and make these decks yourselves if you wanted to play in a similar style. For the duels in these episodes, if you wanted to play similarly to them, right, you would have to have a friend and, creating that custom game mode with them, right? So it's as far as that goes, like, yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh has a huge potential. They have a huge diverse card pool. You have all these Time Wizard formats, all these different ways of playing Yu-Gi-Oh that was created by the community, but it's not supported by Konami, and you don't have any sort of way to interface with that without getting together and organizing that with a friend and saying, hey, do you want to play this interesting version of Yu-Gi-Oh that's not a mind-numbing, soul-sucking pit of despair? Which is, like, pretty difficult, I would say.
Like Justin Wong from the fighting game community, or like VTubers like Rosemary Lovelock, or even like people like Rhyme Style and Reacts. And so they were given themes like old school Yu-Gi-Oh, as in like Legend of Blue Eyes, Magic Ruler, Pharaoh Servant, Metal Raiders, that kind of era, or like anime duels like Stardust versus Elemental.
Another thing was interesting that there's not really a lot of concrete rules that were expressed, which is fine. Like, you don't really want to like bog people down with so much detail, especially for these like little episodes. No one really, that you're not too sure how well they'll do or whatever. And the spectacle of 2 content creators or 2 bigger names fighting each other is what you're going there for. I get that, but I feel like Yu-Gi-Oh, I guess, I don't know, the audience problem. Yeah, right? Like Yu-Gi-Oh audience is very detail oriented. They're very hyper fixated on details because the game hyper fixates on details. And so it's hard to kind of like emulate what they're doing in those episodes because you don't really know what exactly they're doing besides like, taking decks from these very vague eras of Yu-Gi-Oh, right?
Heroes. That was one of the themes. And so we did this series, and it was pretty fun. I had a great time. It was fun to record, fun to get to meet those people and work with them. And I think Konami did a really great job in the editing. The episodes turned out really well. They decided that they would show these episodes between YCS stream matches because at YCS events, the feature matches happen, and then like there's a bit of a downtime between them and whatever the next match is.
Oh my god. Wait. Is he gonna talk about like how they received it like live? God, I can only imagine like a room full of Yu-Gi-Oh players watching deck flexing, and they're like, "Oh, that's not how you play that card." Or, "Oh my God, she's so stupid. Why would you summon this hedgehog and just pass?" Like, Oh God, when it's like totally missing like the point. The point of it is just to showcase 2 content creators having fun playing Yu-Gi-Oh in a totally different way, in a non-serious, non-competitive way.
And normally Konami just kind of sits the camera there and like just shoots into the crowd, and nothing really happens. It's kind of boring. So there's some space to fill, and so they decided to, I guess, among other product advertisements and stuff, they put the Master Duel deck flexing videos on there because it's sponsored Konami content. So I guess they're allowed to do that.
Yeah.
But there are some people who are some dissenters, we'll say, who maybe don't think that that's the best decision. Because when you're watching a YCS stream, you don't really want to watch people play, Maneater Bug, like, and Celtic Guardian control decks, right? On stream, you would rather watch people play, the current metagame. What's going on with Runics and Bestials? What's going on with,
Who are these dissenters? Are they on Twitter? I want to see. Like, it's so dumb. Like, you already have the tournament. You already have YCS. And you're saying, oh, well, we don't want to see this. Then take a break. Go grab a snack. Go grab some water. Do anything else. And then come back when the actual game is going on. Like, what the They have these, not side events, but just basically things to fill time. And it's casual Yu-Gi-Oh! It's fun Yu-Gi-Oh! Right? And you're complaining about it like, oh, this is not what I came for. Well, what you came for is already there. What's the big deal? Like, if they're gonna put in these other slots to fill in time, and hopefully they're entertaining to people outside, maybe grab a few people who are, nostalgic about Yu-Gi-Oh! As an anime, and they're like, oh, wow, this is a Yu-Gi-Oh! Event. Let me take a look at this. Okay, they're playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Competitively. It's such a small part of the event that it doesn't make any sense to me.
Rescue Ace and Snake Eyes and SP Little Knight and combos and hand traps and interactions and metagame things. And so I've seen some people online when they saw that, Konami was playing these sorts of videos on stream, they weren't really satisfied with them. They were like, okay, get this casual content out of my face, right? This isn't the target audience for that.
Bro, like... Everything needs to be about me. Everything needs to cater to me. Everything that fills up every single minute, every single second of this event needs to be catered to me. I'm the target audience. Please stop putting this trash up in my face. This level of entitlement and constant need and desire for everything on the internet, everything that is content to be catered towards you, I feel like is absolutely ridiculous. And I feel like the more you feel that way, the more likely it is that there's just something wrong with you in the head. The fact that you can't just sit back or take a break, grab some food, grab some drinks, or just realize that, this thing is not made for you, and that's okay. It just feels absolutely silly.
And at first I was like, oh man, that sucks. I worked really hard on those videos. It sucks to hear them say that they don't like them. But when I thought about it a little bit more, I think it does make some sense. Maybe Konami shouldn't be showing these at YCS events that are targeted towards much more hardcore, very competitive types. It begs the question, though, who exactly is the intended audience for Yu-Gi-Oh! And where does Konami stand in terms of how they reach that crowd?
Well, I mean, the intended audience for Yu-Gi-Oh! Is anyone who will buy their product, right? Basically, they're trying to expand with the deck flexing series and marketing Master Duel as a place where you can create and simulate these duels in a more casual setting, create your own rules. It is a huge failing that they don't even let you customize these rules. But regardless, you are able to play in the same way that they do. I mean, because the decks are there, the cards are there, right? And that's how they played. It feels obvious, at least with deck flexing, that they're trying to market to a more casual audience, because Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a niche game in a niche genre for a very niche audience, and the culture is so hyper fixated and super niche that they get so mad at, shows of casual format Yu-Gi-Oh! So it's they want to expand, and it's probably a good thing as a hardcore player, as an experienced player of Yu-Gi-Oh! If your game doesn't live and die by the hardcore community, right? I feel like the more people that are playing your game, probably that's a good thing as far as the longevity, the lifetime of your game. But yeah,
because for Konami, they kind of have to walk two. They have to kind of walk like two lanes, two roads. There's the, keeping the current competitive crowd happy. Those are the people that you're mostly going to meet online that talk about.
The thing about this, okay, what he's going to say is keeping the competitive crowd happy, but also trying to reach into other markets and create a new audience in the casual space. But the thing is, it's like the hardcore players of Yu-Gi-Oh! Will not quit Yu-Gi-Oh! Right? They're not going to quit. They're addicted to this cardboard crack. You could make Max C legal, and Master Duel players will still play Master Duel. You could avoid banning every UR card and like hit every card other than Mathmech Circular, and people will still play. You can ban the crap out of Robina and Fluandereeze and ruin every archetype that basically harms Max C's legitimacy, and they'll still play. The hardcore players will not leave. So I don't think personally the hardcore players and the hardcore player base in Yu-Gi-Oh are worth catering to, because at the end of the day, you just print product, they'll still stay. Who cares? Who actually cares about the hardcore competitive Yu-Gi-Oh community, right? I think that these kind of comments of like, oh, get this casual shit out of my face, like, they shouldn't pay any mind to it. They shouldn't heed it, because it just keeps them in the same box that they've always been, which is to cater towards a hyper competitive crowd. If these guys are addicted anyway and they're still playing your game, they're still buying your product, then all you need to do to ensure that they are continuing to buy your product is just print good product for them, right? It's just to print good stuff for them. It's just to keep the game going for them. That's literally all they want. That's literally all they need in order to continue playing the game. I would say continue pushing towards other spaces and, you know, trying to market to other crowds.
You have to kind of walk like two lanes, two roads. There's the, you know, keeping the current competitive crowd happy. Those are the people that you're mostly going to meet online that talk about, you know, the nitty gritty of decks, optimizations, how you beat the meta, right? Lots of content today is about that. But then there's also a side that's much more like casual, and their memories of Yu-Gi-Oh are from the show, are from the anime, and they might find themselves a bit disillusioned by all of this, you know, super complex, jargon-filled competitive talk. And so Konami's got to try to market like products and try to expand their reach to more and more people. And to do that, they get these people from other communities when they do like these sort of initiatives. And so like when that content gets seen by the nitty-gritty crowd, they are dissatisfied and don't like it.
Which is, who cares? Like, literally, who cares about their opinion, right? Who don't please God, Konami, do not let your marketing efforts and what you're trying to push be influenced by the people who will buy your product anyway, right? The people who will continue to, like, if is anyone actually going to quit Yu-Gi-Oh because they made deck flexing? That's a ridiculous notion. It makes no fucking sense, right? These are like segments, these are times that like would otherwise just be filled with a you know, a graphic with a timer or whatever, right? There's no pleasing those people, so just don't cater to them. And definitely don't stop like trying to market to other people, because that's how you grow as a game. Of course you can bash it, you're a player. Yeah, bash it, whatever, but don't listen to them. Like, do not listen to them, for the love of God. They are nobody cares about, like, if you're caring about the long-term success and the growth of your game, it is imperative that you do not listen to people complaining about something so petty as, oh, casual content in my competitive game and my competitive event. Like, no, it makes no sense.
So I think that in terms of what so for the YCS issue, right? That's a simple matter of, I guess, maybe people just don't want them to include deck flexing in between YCS rounds. I think that'd be pretty reasonable, I suppose. Maybe deck flexing has a better place to be put on the internet. Like, it could just be like an ad on Facebook.
Yeah, like on YouTube, on a for kids channel that, you know, it's hard for them to market and it's hard for them to like put. They put this on Twitter, they posted it on their YouTube. What else can they do, really? Like, just put it out there. Like, who cares? Someone's gonna get it. Someone's gonna understand, like, oh, this content wasn't necessarily made for me, but I can show this to my friend because I can show them how we could play on the simulator Master Duel, and we could play a casual game of Yu-Gi-Oh, some fun Yu-Gi-Oh, instead of something that's hyper fixated on competitiveness and normal Yu-Gi-Oh that normal Yu-Gi-Oh is. An alternative form of Yu-Gi-Oh. Someone's gonna get it. Someone has, you know, a couple of brain cells in that room, I'm sure.
Facebook or YouTube in general. But I think the more important conversation to be had here is, like, who is Yu-Gi-Oh for and how does Konami kind of cater to both? And I think it comes down to the fact that Yu-Gi-Oh, like modern Yu-Gi-Oh today, is at an impasse, and it's almost, I hesitate to use this word, it's a little deceptive, a little duplicitous, maybe even, dare I say, a bit of a lie, So when you look at how Konami sort of markets Yu-Gi-Oh today, you will see like these, like these tins, right? Like this year's hero tins or some playmats and stuff where like they use a lot of imagery of Yugi and Kaiba and Jaden or Yusei and like their boss monsters. It's meant to evoke this sort of sense of like, anime style duels where it's kind of back and forth and there's like an epic boss monster clash and, you know,
It's a bait and switch. It's a bait and switch. It's like, here's this cool anime battle. Here's this cool, like, oh, remember guys? You got all the anime characters and they summon their cool boss monsters and they're having this super dramatic dialogue against each other. Like, remember, that's what Yu-Gi-Oh is. And look, our game, you can do that. You could do that, but nobody wants to play that way because the only things we support and officially recognizes the actual advanced format of Yu-Gi-Oh! And our existing player base, our very niche player base that's been playing the game for 20 years, they only care about that one game mode, right? It's just like, yeah, it's a bait and switch. And I mean, like, they do have speed duels, they do have alternate ways to play Yu-Gi-Oh! But I don't know, it's hard. It's definitely a hard problem to solve, but definitely making things, making content, making productions that showcase Yu-Gi-Oh in a more casual way is definitely not the wrong answer.
it sort of feels like it's like what you remember when you were a kid, right? These cool anime duels and all that. But then there's a bit of an issue because modern Yu-Gi-Oh, when you actually go to a local card shop or even get on Master Duel, isn't really like that. And so
Yeah.
the marketing kind of feels like a bit of a slap in the face because you get baited and switched. You get baited into thinking that, Dark Magician and Blue Eyes are still the cool, strong monsters when in reality they couldn't be kind of further from it, right? Like, we haven't really seen a Dark Magician or a Blue Eyes deck do super well in a competitive tournament like, a YCS in ages. And it's really quite rare. If anything, those are seen as the free win, the free round for a lot of more competitive types of players. And it's not exactly as easy to market, branded or Unchained or, like Rescue a Snake Eye to a lot of older fans because they don't recognize those cards.
Yeah.
In fact, when I go to events like
And this is a problem that's only going to compound on itself more and create more of this segmentation, this separation. And that's why they're trying to like close the gap, right? That's why they're trying to like market towards casuals and sort of keep it going for as long as possible because that's the only place you can create a new audience. But this gap is only going to be widened because if you guys don't know, basically there's never going to be Master Duel Yu-Gi-Oh as an anime, right? Or advanced format Yu-Gi-Oh as an anime anymore. It's always going to be Rush Duel. There's just the biggest opportunity they had to announce a new season for Yu-Gi-Oh was just Worlds, right? That was their biggest opportunity to announce something new for the Yu-Gi-Oh as an anime, as a franchise, and that's just they didn't do it because they didn't have anything working because they don't want to do any of these new projects. They're not going to introduce any more new summoning mechanics. They're not going to change the game up in any major way. I highly doubt they're going to do any more master rules because there's no anime to market to a newer crowd, and therefore there's nothing to align their product with. That's why if you look at like Yugipedia card sets or whatever, and you notice that these are all like separated by the Yu-Gi-Oh anime. Oh, this is the 5D series. This is the Zexal booster sets. These are the Arc 5 booster sets. These are the Vrains booster sets. Well, guess what follows after that? It's the Sevens booster sets. Has nothing to do with the Sevens monsters. Has nothing to do with the Sevens anime. And you have the Go Rush booster sets, which has, again, nothing to do with Go Rush. Go Rush is Yu-Gi-Oh, but they're playing Rush Duel, right? They're not playing this game anymore. So it's not going to happen. They're not going to have any more new anime. They're not going to have any more like new characters for people to fall in love with and a story or anything like that. Their ability to generate a new audience is severely harmed, essentially, is what I'm saying. Because they don't really have an anime to support the game anymore.
like conventions and things like that, or even just reading the comments in my own like videos, there are a lot of people who kind of want to get back into Yu-Gi-Oh but find themselves alienated not just by the long combos and the long card text, but also just the unfamiliarity of the cards, the fact that Mirror Force is no longer seen as like a good card or Monster.
Yeah, and it's just like they're not the same cards. They're not the same. It's not the same game that I used to play. It's not the same game that I've seen being played by the characters that I love. So yeah, there's a huge like disparity, right? It's like, okay, you baited me with this anime, but there's actually nothing. The game itself has nothing to do with it. And, at the end of the day, that's always been the case, realistically speaking, right? Not totally, but for in a general sense, it was, because Duelist Kingdom, again, all they did in Duelist Kingdom on that island, they played Dungeons and Dragons with cards, right? They literally played pretend with cards. You know, Giant Soldier of Stone attacking the moon. You have Catapult Turtle, right? Just launching something. They weren't actually playing the game. And that was the best season of Yu-Gi-Oh! That was the best part of Yu-Gi-Oh! And that was the most, the part of Yu-Gi-Oh! That grabbed the most people, is because they actually had some really cool dialogue and like anime moments from not playing the actual game. That's kind of almost always been the case. It's hard to imagine a solution to this when that's always been the case for Yu-Gi-Oh! And that's kind of always what's worked, is baiting and switching.
Reborn is not seen as a good card. It's not played, and they don't really, want to maybe learn what all the new crazy stuff is. And I think to that point, I'd say that, well, there's some, like, both sides kind of got to maybe give a little to get a little. I think that if you are the quintessential Yugi boomer, as they call them, I think that it is important to kind of like take a step out of your comfort zone and realize that modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Does have some real like shining sides to it. It's a lot more complex, sure, and there's a lot more moving parts, but I do think that the game is actually at perhaps its most like high octane and interactive that it's ever been. And
yeah, but people don't want to play that game. And I don't, as far as like Yugi boomers or whatever, the thing about it is the reality of the situation is that they're just going to fuck off and play something else. There's no objectivity of like, oh, is Yu-Gi-Oh! Worth playing? Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a game made for hyper-fixated, detail-oriented people who like to learn complex things and complex interactions, and it's meant to only be played in a competitive way because that's the only format that's being pushed by Yu-Gi-Oh! And Konami. So there's no like gap closer, right? Everyone who is baited by the anime needs to make this hop, this leap of faith that they're going to enjoy the game and that they'll like it once they learn it. And that's a lot of learning to do. That's what they all have to do. And it's as far as that goes, shoulda, woulda, oughta, there is none of that. In reality, people are just going to play something else. And they probably should. I mean, why would you waste your time learning something that just you're not too sure if it's going to be fun for you, especially when you have games like Baldur's Gate 3 that you could purchase instead, that won 7 Game of the Year awards, right? And is a huge banger. There's the competition as far as like what can waste your time, what can entertain you, right? Between work and sleep. It is there's so many things. It doesn't have to be this game.
And taking the time to like learn how a lot of today's decks works can be really, I think it can be really rewarding and really gratifying to learn that. I certainly have a fun time like playing, the really harsh modern formats of like Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, but I totally get why somebody might not want to. I think on the other end of the spectrum though, you've got some competitive players who just can't really find any appreciation for, watching this even just pre-Time Wizard style format being played in front of them. They would much rather see, okay, why isn't Jesse Cotton or Joshua Schmidt coaching these VTubers and like coaching Justin Wong and playing in a modern format with modern cards and
Oh my God, why aren't people showing my favorite Oshis, the game I like to play? Why aren't they showing things for me? Why is this content not made for me? Like, oh God, nothing. Not everything is about you. The world doesn't center around you. It just comes down to something very simple. It wasn't made for you. So shut the fuck up. Like,
showing that instead. And I think that there are some obvious sort of logistic reasons why that couldn't really be like super feasible. But yeah, there's always going to be this sort of mismatch. And I think that for Konami, they could probably help address this issue a little bit. They've done some things, right? Like they've got Time Wizard format, so you can technically play GOAT. That's kind of one of the things that I always will point to for people who just want something that resembles old school Yu-Gi-Oh! Or you could play Edison format. But I think that in particular, Master Duel, first of all, needs to have some super like old casual formats. It's got a casual mode. We all know that is not.
It doesn't exist. You go to casual mode right now, unless you're stream sniping someone else, no one's playing it. You're gonna find and match against the same guy over and over and over again, if there is someone playing it at all, right? Honestly, what Yu-Gi-Oh should do, what Konami should do, is they should put casual mode with bots. Because then at least you would, like if a casual were actually baited to click casual mode, they can play against a bot and then they could have fun. They could win. They literally should do that. That's what Fortnite did. That's what Fortnite did. When you play Fortnite, you start up Fortnite, you have a new account, you're matched up against bots, and you get, huge dopamine hits of like, oh my god, I killed that guy. I actually killed that guy. I did that. Yeah. And it's like, it fools a lot more people than you would think. Let them actually play out the game instead of playing and interfacing with the actual casual mode in Master Duel, where people just give up on turn 2, turn 3 when they don't open their combo, right? Or when they get stopped. It's just casual mode's a joke in Master Duel, and they need other ways to play Master Duel in it that isn't a limited time events that's meant only to farm currency. So like solo mode? No, not like solo mode, because solo mode is already there and it already exists, but Yu-Gi-Oh is a player versus player game. You're supposed to be playing against someone else, another person, right? And at least the illusion of that could suffice and probably sustain a huge casual like audience, at least for, they'll keep the app on for a few more hours at the very least, right? Saying like, oh, there's solo mode. Well, people still want the feeling of playing with someone else. Putting bots in casual mode, not only does it create more activity in casual mode, it creates more of an audience for casual mode. Then you'll have more people logging into casual mode, and then you'll have humans matching with other humans as well by creating those bots. So like first there's bots, but second, now there are people who actually treat casual mode the way it should be, which is as a casual mode. That probably wouldn't hurt, definitely.
It's got a casual mode. We all know that is not at all like good. It doesn't really work or function. People go in there and troll. There's no rewards for doing so. It's a bit of a mess. But it would be really easy to do that in Master Duel.
And that's the dumbest thing too. Why is there no incentive? Why can you not complete your goals in casual mode? It's the stupidest thing. It's like it's the most boneheaded move that I can think of. And in reality, whoever is in charge of that probably doesn't even know that's the case. Like it's probably a bug or something. I don't even know if it's intentional. The fact that you can't earn rewards in casual mode is the dumbest thing. It's like why are you so fixated on people interfacing with the only mode in Yu-Gi-Oh, like the ranked mode in Yu-Gi-Oh, this soul sucking pit of despair? It just and monotony, right? It just doesn't make any sense to me. I just let people, if people are having fun playing the game and they want to play in a casual setting and they want to play in a low stakes environment, let them farm like rewards. Like what's the big deal? They already play ranked mode to farm rewards anyway. And it'd probably be better to separate the two, right? Because then you can go on ranked and have more of a reasonable expectation to not get trolled or play against auto lose decks, let's just call it.
Even within the TCG, there could still be more sort of like support for these types of formats. Like Konami themselves never really quite want to, or at least that I've noticed, they always kind of keep an arm's length from what they'll describe as like the Heart of the Underdog format or the Time Wizard format. They'll kind of leave it to the players to just, you guys sort of figure out what format you want to play and you guys can play that, and we're going to take a bit of a back seat to it. But I think that they should take a more active role in doing so and maybe actually have a little bit more faith in their modern archetypes and cards. Like, for instance, the Sky Striker archetype gets a lot of support, and it actually has a manga in Japan, but that's not something that we get here. We don't even really get those like Yu-Gi-Oh sort of master guides or whatever, where they explain the lore of different archetypes. We don't get that here in the West, so it's a lot harder for people.
Yeah, right? That's a good point. Like, you don't even get these other medias. Like, it's such a weird thing because Sky Striker has a lot of pull in the Western Yu-Gi-Oh community. I'm sure you could get people to buy that manga, but it feels just like Konami is totally just, they don't care. They don't care about the West. You can't, like, actions speak louder than words. And the fact that they don't push these products, they don't translate these products, they don't do anything to port it over to the West, they don't make any sort of like special cards or promo cards in that same vein as the Sky Striker manga and the cards that come packaged with them, it just shows that they don't care. They don't care about the West. They don't want to market to them. They have no faith in it, and that they are very content with just sticking to their audience in Japan and staying within, coloring within the lines. And it's, it's the weirdest thing because it's like when you're looking at it from an outsider's perspective, it's like you have all this potential. You could make the money. I'm sure you could turn a profit, and you just don't want to do it because it's just so risky or something. It just doesn't. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense to me.
To connect with archetypes. And so if you're maybe a more casual or returning player who just remembers Celtic Guardian and Mystical Elf, then it might be harder to connect with these new archetypes. But I think that they could make it easier by releasing these lore books, or maybe releasing some like animated shorts like what Pokemon does, so that people could get to know who, like Diabellstar and the Snake Eye monsters are, who Albaz and Ecclesia are. And I think that if you...
Yeah, that is a very great point, is that Yu-Gi-Oh! Konami in Japan solves this problem. The problem of like connecting these characters, these archetypes to a newer audience and creating context around them so that people fall in love with the characters and thus are enticed with the game. Like that is why games have lore. That's why World of Warcraft has lore. That's why Legends of Runeterra exists, is because they're trying to create other media, other forms to hook you in to the IP, the franchise. And the fact that, in Japan, they are like actively solving this issue. They are creating content for people to fall in love with and, buy into this game. The fact that they just don't do that in the West, it's like they're just sitting on their ass. They don't care, or they are being told no because it's too risky. And I think it's like the biggest head scratcher. It's definitely a huge head scratcher.
If you did that, that would be good, because otherwise it kind of creates a bit of a weird disconnect for somebody who...
There's one problem. Even if they localize the Sky Striker manga or even the OCG Structures manga, most people won't read them. You don't know that. Like, the thing is, nobody knows that because they never did it, because they're manga. There is manga that is... Sure, that is a good point. But I think it's a scale thing, right? You don't have to pour so much money. Like, translating and printing these things, you don't have to pour like that much money into it, right? It's not like an all or nothing sort of thing, right? You can print a limited quantity of these items, right? And slowly scale that up. And I feel like Yu-Gi-Oh! Is already a niche genre. It's already a niche game for a very niche audience that's also very hardcore, that's also very dedicated. I actually do think these products would do well. I think that they just ought to try. But yeah, I mean, that is a good point, is that manga typically doesn't do well in the West. But I feel like, recognize that you have a hardcore audience. You have a hardcore base. I feel like that is something they could be interested in.
Who wants to get into Yu-Gi-Oh! In a way that they thought it was like when they were a kid, because I'll go to conventions and people are like, cosplaying as like Jaden and Cyrus, and they just, make jokes about like, what does Product Read do? They're having a more innocent and kind of nostalgia-driven fun with the brand and property that is not at all reflected in the game, and if they wanted to hop into the game, they might find themselves feeling a little bit overwhelmed. So, I think Konami's got to take some steps to sort of solve this. Speed Duels is another pretty good one. That's one that I've found myself recommending to people a little bit more as well. So that's really good. I think that the way that they've been doing them as like sealed boxes that are kind of these isolated kind of boxed experiences that you could play with a group of friends from middle school without actually going online and like kind of looking into the deep nitty gritty of Yu-Gi-Oh!
That's cool, yeah. And like probably the best product that I had of Yu-Gi-Oh! That didn't interface with the advanced format was the Monster League Duelist Pack. Battle Pack 3 Monster League, right? This draftable game mode. It utilized Yu-Gi-Oh's huge card pool, created this set that was meant to be drafted, and what was really cool about it was like the special rule. All monsters are treated as all types. So if something says, oh, add one reptile monster from your deck to your hand, you could add any monster. It is a very interesting problem. I can see that now. Like, manga doesn't typically do well in the West. Art books don't typically do well in the West. So I can see the apprehension, but at the same time, I do think the Yu-Gi-Oh! Audience is pretty hardcore. And, local game stores and these nerd shops, hobby shops, they are a niche thing, and there is a place to sell these things. And, people who go to these shops, I feel like they are inclined to buy it. I feel like they are inclined to interact with the other forms of media around their favorite IP. And I feel like that's something they should try. I mean, the thing is, it's like, oh, it's manga. Yeah, well, you're a Japanese property with an anime. Like, they're okay with it. I don't think it's bad to print it. I don't think it would go as badly as they think it would.
Is actually for the best. I really do believe that. I do think that competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Online today, getting into that community and that discourse, it's rough. I mean, there was like a recent argument on Twitter about, somebody saying that they thought that like Earth's Arctic was was like a decent deck, and people got angry at them and said like, what? No, you're wrong. Earth's Arctic is trash. How dare you defend it? And like, I mean, it got really pretty personal and like harsh. And so
Wait. This is like a perfect like prelude. It's a perfect like segue into the next video that we're gonna watch. Ah, wow. Okay. The fact that gets escalated to such a degree is so like characteristic of Yu-Gi-Oh community. It's like, yeah, yep, that's the Yu-Gi-Oh community. Yep,
I sometimes tell people like, listen, if you want to get into Yu-Gi-Oh today, decide how you want to get into it, right? Do you want to get into a kind of a very intense competitive online community? Not saying it's bad, but it's intense. Or do you maybe just want to enjoy something that's more akin to what you played in like middle school or something? If so, don't look online for anything. Just buy a speed duel box, grab a few friends who also don't know anything, play it, then pack it back up, and you can do it again some other time, and that's it.
Quick, don't look at Twitter, don't look online, don't look at Twitch streams, don't just turn off your internet, unplug your router, buy the actual products that exist out there that you think is a little weird, but just buy it anyway. You'll have a lot of fun. That's gonna be the best way to interact with Yu-Gi-Oh.
Right? It's rough to say it that way, but as it stands in Yu-Gi-Oh, it sometimes feels like those are the two options that you get. Bridging that gap is going to be a difficult one. I know they've got it rough. I think that still, though, they could do a better job of marketing the modern things to people in ways that help to teach them more and help them connect with the archetypes and the monsters that are being shown, as opposed to just showing them Yugi and Kaiba, but then kind of pulling the rug out from under them. Of course, if you are a super casual old school head, it might be worth it to take a look at what the new game is and try to better understand it before you just get online and complain. And if you're a super casual type, understand that not all content is even necessarily made for you, right? Like deck flexing probably wasn't made for the competitive types. It was made for the casual, sort of passerby audience. And that not everybody enjoys, getting into the nitty-gritty of combo decks and Yu-Gi-Oh. It's a tricky one, and I guess it's not even really like a new debate. This is something that's kind of a tale as old as time. So, yeah. As always, let me know what you guys think about it down in the comments, how you feel about this discussion or debate or whatever you want to call it. And how you think Konami or players could do better, or if you think that this isn't really very much of an issue at all, and I am just making mountains out of molehills, as I guess I'm known to do, according to the comments anyway. So yeah, that's going to be it. Cool. Sweet. I'll be back with maybe more videos like this because this was fun. All right, see you guys in the next one.
Please do. Guys, stop making these videos talking shit about my game. My game's perfect. It's fine. It's Konami just fucking it up and appealing to casuals. Like, Jesus, dude. Fuck off. Please give that video a like and subscribe to Paul. I love these discussion videos. I think they're super fun and enjoyable. And I feel like, as far as like what Konami ought to do, they should never listen to the competitive player base, the hardcore player base that they've cultivated for 20 years. They should never listen to them for anything about marketing. And I feel like if they want to market and appeal to a casual crowd, they should. And that's what they ought to try, because otherwise the game's going to die. Like, the game has a much shorter lifetime, for sure. Because if it lives and dies by the hardcore player base, then, eventually that player base are going to find other priorities, other things to do in their life. And, they're not going to stick with it forever. Yu-Gi-Oh definitely has a huge problem with generating a new audience. There's no more anime. So these things like deck flexing, yeah, it's a little rough on the edges. It's not totally executed well, but it's a good effort, and they should keep trying to make this content to appeal to the casuals.